Welcome to the Happy Black Woman Podcast, where we're on a mission to empower women to transform their lives through personal development and entrepreneurship. We bring you all the information, inspiration, and motivation you need to create a life of happiness, success, and freedom. Now, please welcome your host, the happy black woman herself, Rosetta Thurman.
Welcome to this episode of the Happy Black Woman Podcast. I'm Rosetta Thurman, the Happy Black Woman, and I'm excited to bring to you another fabulous guest, Liana Chaouli, and she'll correct me if I said her name right or not today, but what I want to share with you about Liana is that she is much more than an image consultant, which is the general term for what people call what she does. She is really an image therapist, and Liana has really spent the last 2 decades consulting CEOs, celebrities, political figures on matters of self-image. She has developed a process called image therapy that I've had the pleasure of participating in, and really my experience with Liana is that she helps women become more confident through teaching them how to look their best. And that is my experience of her. There's so much more that she does, but that is why I wanted to bring her on the podcast to share with you about her process, about her background, and how she does what she does. It's very inspiring stuff. So welcome, Liana.
Thank you, Rosetta. I'm so excited to talk to you and talk to your listeners and just share the stories and make everyone's life bigger, a bigger blossom of who they are.
I love that because that's what we're talking about is creating a life of happiness, success, and freedom. And so much of that comes from the inside. So I'm going to jump right in and just have you share with us, Liana, what's your mission? Tell us about the work that you do.
My mission is to provide transformation through the empowerment of wardrobe. And for the sake of, I always say, what's your for the sake of? For the sake of world peace. I know that sounds a little broad and a little big, and the truth is that I believe that world peace does not start at the borders of our country. It starts inside every person's heart. And when I get to be at peace and have the awareness of who I am as the masterpiece that I am, and you get to have the awareness of yours, then the way we are tribally involved with one another is in a place of acknowledgement and acceptance and honoring, and that starts with me and myself. And that's the most important part. So I believe in setting free and shining bright 1 million stars, which is now 7 billion stars. And the way we do it is we start in the mirror. If I get to look in the mirror and be grateful and gracious to what's there, I get to be grateful and gracious to what's in the world. If I get to be angry and despondent and in disbelief and not in acceptance of what's there, the masterpiece that my soul gets to live in, then that's the way I'm going to be in the world.
And we're already starting off with this piece around image therapy, right? Because this is not how normal image consultant, quote unquote, would share. And so I just love that you come from this broader mission, this global mission, and really I wonder if you could break down exactly how you do that. How do you do this image therapy work?
So image therapy is the process of PhD in design of who you are. Really to understand, so what is it that makes me me, Why do I wear this and it looks absolutely amazing, and why do I wear something else and it makes me feel not so beautiful and look not so beautiful? What is it about me that makes me me? How do I show up in the world? How do I walk into a room? What do people see? Do I even let people see me? Most people use their clothing as a source of hiding. They go, oh, this is my security blanket, and I'm just going to hide and no one's going to see me. I believe if we are all seen, truly seen, not if people look at us, but if people see us. So I see you. I see the masterpiece that you are, without all the contradiction and all the language and all the I'm not good enough and all the I'm too fat and my boobs are sagging. I don't see any of that. Mm-hmm. I just see the amazingness of you. And so image therapy is the process of taking you from bud to blossom. Bud is a hiding, and blossom is the ever beautiful expansion of who you are. And the way you do that, through the process that which you do it, is from the inside out. You get to see you for the amazing possibility of you without the negative conversation, with the physical knowledge of what your structure, your style architecture, which is the trademark term that I use, to build your own essential formula, because no one is ever going to have that. What you have, Rosetta, and what I have, the coloring, the structure, the sound of your voice, because if you had a very different voice like this, you'd be a very different person, wouldn't you? And for those of you who are now listening to this, you just heard a different voice. But if you have a picture of me right on your screen and you're looking at it, I'd be a very different person with a voice like that. Mm-hmm. So the essence of who you are is your coloring, your body structure, the sound of your voice, the intensity of your gaze, the way you walk, the way you move, the way you serve tea, the way you make love, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. And every single part of your life is infused with who you are. What kind of glass you choose to, serve to your friends when they come. How do you pick your clothes? What does your closet look like? What does the inside of your trunk look like? Is your life messy? Is it cleaned up? If the inside of your trunk is messy, your brain is most probably messy as well. So image therapy flows everywhere. It encompasses everything.
And it goes so far beyond your closet, or in my case, my suitcase. My listeners know that I'm a minimalist, and so the idea of picking out, I don't like shopping, I don't like picking out clothes. I have a very small space within which to have clothing. And so Liana was the person I hired to help me find clothing that was me. And there's like 40 items of clothing that we fit into a suitcase. And, the expertise that she had to do this within like 2 weeks was phenomenal. And now I'm traveling all over. I'm about to go to France with the clothes that Liana picked out for me. And the impact of that on me is I'm just beginning to see it, but it's evident to people, the confidence that it has created. And I know that I'm just one of the stars that you have helped. So when you look back at your beginning, what actually made you decide to start this business, to do this, to put this out there into the world?
Well, a lot of you know the story. Some of you know the story. It's like I was the simultaneous translator in Hamburg, and I realized that women could be magical and amazing and masterful in one domain, but then when it came to the domain of their body and walking into a store and asking for what they needed, there was a piece missing. There was a piece of the film or a piece of the education was missing. So as a woman who had degrees over degrees and is the wife of an ambassador or is an ambassador herself. And then I would walk into a store, and this is a true story. I'd walked into a store with a lady who was absolutely amazing, PhDs, languages, raised 7 kids. And she'd walk into a store, and because of the way her body was structured and it was difficult to fit her, we couldn't find much for her. But she was also assuming the position of being less than when she was spoken to by a salesperson who said, "We don't make anything in your size. You have to go to a different store." And there was like, really? Just because she's 5 feet tall and weighs a little more than other people do, you're trying to tell me you can't fit her? And so the link that was missing that I decided that I am still, after 35 years, a stand for is education. Self-knowledge, so you can understand what your style architecture is. You can understand what your body needs. You're confident in speaking it and confident in walking into a store and say, yes, this works. No, that doesn't work. I'm not going to buy this. When people go into a store and a salesperson says, oh, my God, that's so beautiful. and you look in the mirror and you go, not so much.
Mm-hmm.
To seek it. To become empowered through your wardrobe so that your second skin befits your essence and your body and your life and the situations you go into. And so that's what I'm a stand for. I'm a stand for getting up under you like a boulder to lift you up into the universe of your own brilliance. So no matter what and where you are, I don't care if you buy your T-shirts at Target or at Neiman Marcus, but so that you become empowered to say, this works, here's the reason why, that doesn't work, and here's the reason why. That's power.
It is power. And I love that what you do is empowering women in so many different areas of their lives. We were recently at an event for our mentor, and I was speaking with some other of Liana's clients, and we were at dinner, and I was just noticing how powerful our requests were to the server. It's, no, I don't like this soup. I prefer a different type of soup. No, I prefer my water to be served without ice. And so it was just very powerful what goes through us when we're given the education about the wardrobe. It seeps into so many other areas of our lives, our businesses, our relationships. So like I said, this process is just beginning for me with image therapy. But when you look at all the women that you've helped, what is the one thing that you are most proud of as this stylist, as all these different things that people could call you? What are you most proud of in terms of putting this work together?
Wow, what am I most proud of? I think that the thing that I keep seeing and witnessing is that women become so self-reliant, and men. I mean, this isn't just for women. This work has started for women, and what it has come to is the embodiment of the knowledge, because dressing is an embodied action, then gets translated into the different domains, like you were talking about ordering your food, And when I witness my students being so empowered and standing on stages and going from shy to shining, that is just so delightful to me, that they can stand on a stage when even if it's just in front of a room of 4, or at a family reunion, or in a store to say, no, thank you. That doesn't work for me. They don't have to be big, brilliant, shining moments on television or on big stages. It can just be an empowering moment between a husband and a wife where the wife says, I really want you to kiss my neck. This is what I need in order to get satisfaction. It goes into sexuality. It goes into the way you order your food. It goes into every single part of your life. Empowerment, self-empowerment, self-scribing, self-authoring, self-acknowledgement is where the strength of who you are comes in. And when I witness that in my students, I witness it in you, Rosetta. You did an amazing job at your event, and I was like a proud mama in the back of the room going, oh, my God! Because I know what you do, it's like a pebble in the lake. All of my students, the thousands all over the world, go into their own communities and become the pebble in their lakes and in their oceans and in their communities. The way you stand for the amazingness of what you believe in and who you are and what you bring to the world, your students are going to learn from you. That's the biggest blessing I could have ever asked for.
Well, I know one of the things that I love to bring to our Happy Black Woman community is not just the work that you do, which is important for everybody to learn more about, and we'll give everyone a way to get more from you about image therapy, but also I wanted to show people how you do the work. So, what's behind the scenes of how you do what you do, because there are a lot of women in our community who want to empower women the way that you do, or have some of the similar impact that you do. So what does that look like? How does a mogul like Liana, really operate her day? So can you tell us a little bit about your typical day?
So my typical day is I have a belief system where I say I have to do one of the most difficult things at the beginning of my day, because if I do and when I do, everything else is going to seem easy. But if I leave the most difficult thing to the end of the day, then it's like a Damocles sword that constantly hovers over my head. So I get the most challenging, confrontational, difficult things out first. It could be a difficult conversation with a coworker. It could be a difficult conversation with, it could be a request that I want to make. A fabric of humanity and the distinctions that we have in our lives are, requests, offers, declines, acceptances, and breakdowns and breakthroughs. That's how I basically divide up the consequences in my life, situations. I like being the offer and not making an offer. So as I go through my day, whether it's a conversation, whether it's a coaching call, whether it's a VIP day, whether it's me speaking on a stage, my mantra is be the offer, don't make the offer. I don't even say don't make the offer. I say I'm being the offer. I don't need a PowerPoint. I am the PowerPoint.
I love it.
Yeah, because I've had so many breakdowns. So my day starts with that. That's how I wake up. How can I make a difference today? And my prayer during the day is, dear God, where would you have me go? What would you have me say, and to whom? And what would you have me do? Put me there where you need me most. And then I'm conscious of the people that come in, the calls that come in, and I'm open to possibility. And I know that when I'm not, life becomes contracted and small. And that when I am open, phone calls might happen. Things that are not on my calendar happen. And just staying open, that's how I do my day. And sometimes, I swear to you, Rosetta, it's the last thing that I could ever imagine. That's how I met Jack Canfield. That's how I, go through my life with Lisa Nichols. Lisa Nichols lost her suitcase. I was speaking on a big stage. She didn't have any clothes. And Lisa's assistant ran into me in the hallway and said, "You're the one who dresses people, aren't you?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, one of my talents lost her suitcase, and I didn't know who she was talking about. And I said, "Bring your talent to my room. I've got 4 racks of clothing." And there's Lisa Nichols. Lisa Nichols is about to get on stage, doesn't have any clothes because her suitcase didn't get there. And I got to dress her, and she looked amazing. When you stay open to these things, when you stay open to life in the hallways of life, that's how I do my day.
Oh, that's beautiful. We've had a guest on who, I think it was Dr. Venus, who was talking about really not being attached to how your success comes, like what container that comes in and all of that, just to set a goal of what you want and be open to how it shows up. So if it's in the form of someone's assistant running into you in the hallway, to be open to that is a much different way of walking through the world. So I love that you have that intention throughout your day. When you think about all the work that you do with clients and with your events, with your online courses and teaching, all of these great processes involved with image therapy, how do you stay productive? How do you keep moving forward year after year?
I have a big vision, Rosetta, like you. And I believe that just like the heart contracts and expands, we do it because it's a natural flow. And I believe that expansion has to do with holding a big vision. Sometimes we can't even think that big. So a big vision will always encourage me to get bigger as a human being. And, in some cases, it might just be stepping outside of your comfort zone, but that's where growth starts. for me, growth starts really stepping outside of my comfort zone because there's so many things that I've gotten comfortable with, and then I end up on a plateau. But that's how I teach. That's how I do everything. You know, I do things that I have no idea how I'm going to get there. But for the sake of a bigger vision, I just take one step at a time, and I do things, and often they're very uncomfortable. A lot of them are financially uncomfortable. Finding myself a big mentor and spending, you know, the amount of money that 5 years ago I couldn't have even imagined, you know, you just took a big step.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the kinds of things that I put myself into situations that are uncomfortable because I believe uncomfortable is just a blanket statement for I don't want to do it and I don't know why. The only thing that's uncomfortable, I believe, is a G-string. Everything else has a description.
Oh, gosh.
Everything else has a description. You know, I don't want to do it. I'm afraid. I don't have the money.
Right.
This is just a conversation. But the truth is, if we want to get bigger, we'll find a way. I say, where there is a will, there's a plane.
Totally. So with this big vision you have, I mean, I've been talking with guests about, you know, for Happy Black Woman, we have a big vision for the next 5 years, and that involves getting the mentorship and the support that I need and growing my team. And a lot of things that I'm doing to get bigger are exciting and scary, too. So where do you see you in image therapy and in your business over the next 5 years? What does that vision look like for you?
Yeah, so the some of my clients and some of the corporate work is they've coined the phrase style sage.
Mm-hmm.
So as the style sage, the work is going to be in schools, it's going to be in corporations. The Virtual Style Academy, which has been going absolutely amazing. You know, it's a 5-component class live with me, which has been fantastic. And Jack Canfield used to say to me, he used to say, Liana, don't worry, you know, you can do this online. This is like a big thing, and you need to. Mm-hmm. So when we started doing it online, it was just very, very powerful to be able to reach people in China and India and Paris and Hong Kong and Sweden, and for them to feel as if they're in the same room with me, and for me to be able to touch their hearts and teach them. So the Style Academy is going really fantastic. Our 3-day events, which happen twice a year, have been absolutely powerful and impactful to people. Our year-long workshop is steady and going amazing at 2 different levels, platinum and diamond. And my next big project is a TV show and a corporate space in which people all over the world can actually get the learning that they need in order to impact themselves and their pods in a corporation to up-level not just their clothing, but to up-level the environment that they are working in, whether you're a secretary or a manager or whether you're a top-level CEO. Because this work, the embodiment of dressing, because theoretically and physically, clothing is just a tool. Mm-hmm. Your closet is a toolbox. And that toolbox you can access twice a day, 3 times a day. And so if the embodiment and the practice of the embodiment of how to up-level your life comes through your clothes, you have access to the psyche and to a better way of living every day. And so that's what's in store. It's going to go to colleges, to high schools, colleges, and corporations. That's the bigger vision of all of this. That's the legacy of image therapy. And I train other image therapists. It's a program called 3 Years to a Lifetime of Style Mastery.
So you're putting other people out there who can do what you do.
Yes, it's a certification program.
Fantastic.
Because what I've done is I've taken image consulting and I've taken psychology and mystery, you know, and mysticism and style and put all those components together in style architecture with image therapy, with the process of image therapy, that it really completes the life of a human being. You know, the way you pick a crystal glass instead of picking a plastic cup says something about who you are.
There's so much involved.
Yes. Yes. And language, the ontology of language. You know, how we're showing up in the world. You know, the future doesn't live out there. The future lives in the moment that I declare something into creation.
Right.
And so it's easy. You can say, I'm fat. Yeah. Yes. The universe always says yes. Or you can say, I'm an amazing woman who's on the road to a better, healthy life.
Right.
You know, which one's it going to be? I always use the example. You can say, I don't need anything. And on the other hand, that's contraction. Or you can say, I have everything I need. And that comes from expansion. It means the same thing.
Yep.
How are you going to express it to the world?
These are such good nuggets. I hope that everyone listening to the podcast, you can go back and rewind for the last few minutes and really hear what Liana is sharing with us. It's not just about the work and what it means to look your best and to empower yourself through clothing, but the nugget she's dropping about mindset and how we all are working on this. I know it's something that we all are on a journey to up-level. So with all of the pieces that go into your work and the big vision that you're creating, who inspires you on this path?
Who inspires me? Children inspire me. You know, my grandchildren inspire me, Rosetta. My students inspire me because this is not a one-way street. You know, people always say, oh, Liana, you're a mentor. You know, and yes, my friends are people like Lisa Sasovich and Marsha Weeder and Jack Canfield and, you know, amazing people like John Assaraf. And the truth is that we all inspire one another. You know, my man inspires me. Victor inspires me. You inspire me. And I see inspiration in places where there's awe. And I know the word awesome has got, you know, it's just overused today, but I'm in awe when I witness people step up to a higher level of who they are, when it's something that is really difficult for them to do and they step out of their comfort zone and they do it. And that puts me into a space of inspiration. Like when I see my students commit to something that's very difficult for them to do, but they do it anyway.
Right.
Because they become bigger. You have to become bigger in order to do good in the world.
Yeah, totally.
Because you know, and that inspires me when people get bigger, when people go, I don't know how to do that, but I'm going to find a way. You know?
The way that we've been talking about it in our Happy Black Woman community is, you know, we want to live the kind of lives that people can look at and say, well, if she can do it, then I can do it too.
Right.
And that is part of the circle of inspiration that goes on and on. So I love that. Speaking of inspiration, I know, Liana, that you are a student of personal development, and that shows up so much in the work that you do. What's your favorite book?
Oh, my God. What's my favorite book? You mean in the personal development space? What's my favorite book?
That or any space, yeah.
The Alchemist is one of my favorite books.
That's mine too.
The Alchemist is one of my favorite books. My own book that I love it not because it's my book, but it's because it's the stories of my clients. It's called You Are a Masterpiece. That's one of my favorite books. Not because I wrote it, but because I didn't write it. It was written by the stories of my students. I think that one of the things that I love for people to read, and it is mandatory for my students, is one of them is The War of Art. It's mandatory in my year-long program. It's the first thing I ask my students to read because it's all about resistance. And you want to look resistance in the face in order to be able to deal with it, because we all have it.
Right.
And the other book is The Untethered Soul.
That's one I haven't heard of.
Oh my God.
Untethered Soul.
Yeah, the Untethered.
We're gonna get all these books on the show notes for the podcast. But who's the author of that one? The Untethered Soul.
Michael Singer, I think. I hope that I'm saying this right.
Yep.
Michael Singer.
Wonderful.
And
great.
So the Untethered Soul is a practice. You know, I am big into practices. I'm not into people acquiring knowledge in their mind. I am all about practices because embodiment is the only way we're going to ever get things done. Mm-hmm. So when someone says, yeah, I know that, or, oh, I read that book, nothing happens in my belief system. This is how it is, Rosetta. The world moves forward by action.
Yeah.
Love is a verb. Love is not a feeling.
Totally. So I just love your book list that you've given us, and definitely the piece that you shared about the embodiment and the action. I would love to know for you what is a personal mantra you have that reminds you of that? A motto, a saying, a quote that you live by, a truth. What is that one mantra? You know, I have one that I change up every year to live by and to go back to over and over again. Do you have a personal mantra for yourself like that?
Yeah, I have a bunch of them. So my I call them prayers, you know, and I say it every morning. And I say, dear God, where would you have me go? I told you that one earlier.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Where would you have me go? What would you have me say to whom? Right. And I think it's included in that, in the what would you have me say and to whom, is for the sake of a greater good in humanity. And that comes from the place of I am my highest soulmate for the greatest good of all mankind. You know, people are usually running around the world seeking their soulmates, and this is from a friend of mine, Julia Espy, who strongly believes in declarations and decrees. And she shared this with me, and since then I've said, I am my highest soulmate for the greatest good of all mankind. Because if I am my own soulmate, I am able to be self-contained and move the world forward. It's not reliant on anyone else.
I love that. It's a reminder. It's a reminder that we can go back to over and over again. So those of you who are looking for mantras, you know, in our 31-day reset program, we have everybody select a personal mantra. And this is just another one you can try on from Liana that is a reminder of what we're really here for. This life, your life is bigger than you. And I love reminders about that. So thank you. Now, finally, as we are beginning to wrap up here, what is the number one tip? You know, I love sharing advice from powerful women like you who are in the world doing their great work. What's the number one tip you would give to our Happy Black Woman community, women who are thinking about starting a business or in the process of starting a business doing what they love? You created this out of your mission and the love that you have. What's the number one tip you would give?
Oh, God. So when I first thought about this 30 years ago, people thought I was absolutely insane. They're like, you're going to go do what? You're going to go to America? I was living in Germany at the time. And you're going to move to America and you're going to start image therapy? What is that? That's crazy. No one wants that. So the biggest tip that I can give you is do not listen to people. Just do not. I mean, people are going to give you advice, you know, and they're going to bring their past into the present so it can mess up your future if you let it. Do not let them. If you have a dream, I mean, Martin Luther King didn't let anybody mess up his dream. Neither did Gandhi. You know, if Edison wanted to listen to other people, he would have stopped and we would have never had a light bulb. Yeah. So don't listen to other people. Listen to your soul. Get really close to God. Get close to your own spirit and check your ego at the door.
Wonderful advice. So this is another point in the podcast, ladies, where you may want to rewind and write down the nuggets that Liana has shared with us, because it comes from wisdom, experience, and love for what we're all doing together. So thank you for that, Liana. And finally, I want everybody to know you. I want everybody to be able to stay in touch with you and stay close to you as you grow image therapy. So tell us, where can we go to find out more about your work and get more resources from you?
For those of you who are interested in really spending time with me and doing the virtual online work and actually are committed to getting into it, and this is only for those who are really are going, oh my God, I want to really study with Liana. For those of you, and I invite you because I'm excited to get to know you and meet you, please come to the virtual, so it's Virtual Style Academy. Virtual, just like the way we spell it, Virtual Style Academy, all one, .com. I'm going to repeat it, virtualstyleacademy.com. And you'll be able to sign up with us, get information. We'll get in touch with you. But that's actually for those who are committed. For those of you who are like, no, I want to just see what Liana has to say, I invite you to go and watch some videos, because this is my free gift page. Go to lianasgift.com. Liana's, Lianas, GIF as in Frank, TS. lianasgift.com. A ton of video series you'll be invited to watch. And but I want to meet you.
Totally. Thank you for being so generous with your free gifts, Liana. We are going to put those links in our show notes for the podcast, virtualstyleacademy.com and lianasgift.com. So get more resources from her. This is really just the tip of the iceberg, not even the tip of the iceberg. It's just a fraction of the tip of the iceberg. The wisdom that Liana has to share about her journey, about her work, about the process, and everything else opens up because of that. So get into her work.
Yeah, and if I'm just going to say this here, if somebody wants to go download the book, we've made it very accessible on Amazon. It's only 99 cents, so you can read it. It's called You Are a Masterpiece, How to Dress a More Powerful and Authentic You. And it's been bestseller in 2 categories, beauty and self-help, and that would be another place to start.
Thank you. Oh, this has been great, and I know we could talk all day about image therapy, but I honor your time, and I want to thank you for taking the time to share with us and open up the possibility for us to see ourselves as bigger and in a greater light. So thank you so much, Liana, for being with us.
Thank you, Rosetta. Thank you.
And for everyone else, if you have not listened to all of our amazing guests like Liana, she is just one of the powerful guests that we have been having on the Happy Black Woman podcast. Go back and listen to all of our previous episodes. They just build on each other, the inspiration that has been shared. Until next time, I will see you online, and please tune in to the next podcast episode where we will help you create a life of happiness, success, and freedom. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for joining us on the Happy Black Woman podcast. If you want all the show notes from today's episode, go to happyblackwomanpodcast.com. Plus, we'll send you a copy of Rosetta's free life mapping workbook. We look forward to empowering you next time, and until then, do something this week that makes you happy.